Hello friends, in this video we'll be taking a look at the autosomal DNA results, predicted phenotype, traits, and even GED match results of a pre-pottery Neolithic individual from the Levant. So the sample name is Baj001. It seems to be a woman. It doesn't have a Y chromosome, doesn't have a Y DNA. She lived in a time period of basically the Neolithic, so it looks like 7 millennia before the Common Era, and her mitochondrial DNA was N1B. In case you want to know where exactly this individual is from, I can show you on the map. There's coordinates and you can see where she was from. So it looks like the very western, southwestern portion of Jordan is where she's from. Alright, now we're gonna move on to her results with my trait predictor. We're gonna start with Nashakot. With Nashakot, she is scoring, looks like light brown eyes, and dark blonde hair is the biggest category, the biggest components she's scoring. Although there is a pretty significant chance of like brown and black hair for her as well. There is also a pretty significant chance of her to have like green eyes or hazel, something that's not light brown. But the largest categories here is light brown and dark blonde hair. And it looks like light or fair skin for her as well, so she's got light skin. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and look at her blue eye haplotypes, what it looks like. So she has blue eye haplotype 1. We don't really know anything about this, so we can't really know whether or not she has BEH2, but she does not have blue eye haplotype 3, and she does not have blue eye haplotype 4. Okay, so this is what we know. This is what is in her file. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and look at her polygenic risk scores. For the polygenic risk scores, she seems to have below average score for schizophrenia, slightly below average score for type 2 diabetes. She's got it looks like a slightly below average score for Alzheimer's as well. For breast cancer, she's got 1 risk variant out of 4, but you know, 4 is not exactly enough to make a statistic. She's got 11 risk variants for testicular cancer out of 14, which is kind of concerning. Yeah, that's kind of atypical to have this many risk variants for testicular cancer. So it's a little bit, her score for testicular cancer is a little bit concerning in my opinion. We're gonna go ahead and look at what contributed to this. So, okay, one thing I instantly spot is that she has 2 derived no-go learner variants in DRD2's pro-phenethine pro variation, which causes a significant reduction in the number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain, a reduction in the risk of schizophrenia, and an increased likelihood of no-go learning. You don't see this here because it's here, but which is the ability to withhold a response when it's not warranted. So basically, she's got this extremely super European genotype that greatly lowers the availability of dopamine D2 receptor sites, and greatly reduces the risk of schizophrenia. Alright, she does not have the ALE and TAC1, so she's got the she's got the typical human genotype in TAC1, basically a slightly higher number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. I feel like having the GG genotype in TAC1 is kind of big. It's a bigger contribution overall than the pro-phenethine pro variation in terms of how much dopamine D2 receptor sites you got. I feel like TAC1 is playing a bigger role here than pro-phenethine pro, but if you look at her genotype, if you look at pro-phenethine pro and this variation, which is closely linked to pro-phenethine pro, you can see that she's got probably less number of dopamine D2 receptor sites in the brain. However, if you look at her genotype, for example here in TAC1, that's not the case. There's a number of ways you can look at this, and I feel like TAC1 plays a bigger role than pro-phenethine pro and all the other variations in DRD2. She's not genotyped for the long form or short form 5-HTCL-PR thing, so I can't tell you that. Not genotyped for lactose persistence, but we can probably assume she doesn't have European lactose persistence mutations, because even most Europeans at this like even every European at this point in time didn't have it, so there is no way she had this. She's got the European lactose persistence mutation. For the MPF gene, we don't really know. That's not in the file. For diabetes, she doesn't have type 1 diabetes. Good for her. For hemochromatosis, we don't know. That's not in the file. For Alzheimer's, she's got this genotype, which leads to slightly decreased odds of Alzheimer's. But this is not a particularly important genotype, and everything that's important is not in the file. Okay, wow, so she's got GG here. That's kind of crazy because the G allele here is extremely European. It's extremely stereotypically European allele to have, and having it leads to a significantly lower risk of myopia and greater quality of eyesight, as it says. However, it's just so uncommon and unusual that a Natufian, or I'm sorry, not Natufian, but Levant, Pre-Pottery, Neolithic, whatever, has this kind of a genotype because it's just extremely European, like stereotypically European. What else is interesting here? Okay, so she carries the, I spell it Mincro-penis. I don't know if I can say it, but she carries the Mincro-P mutation. Very crazy. Well, once again, I think I gotta say it again. I think it's recessive, right? So you gotta have two variants for that. You gotta have homozygous genotype, homozygous derived genotype to have the actual phenotype. And also she's a woman, so it doesn't matter for her. But you know, she does carry the Mincro-P mutation. Kind of crazy. One fat gene variant in FTOs, RS-9939-609, higher odds of obesity and sleep apnea. By the way, you know what? I feel like there might be some problem with the genotyping, whatever chip they use to do the genotyping, because I'm seeing this Mincro-P mutation way too much. I'm seeing it way too much. It's like one in every 10 files I do, I see it, and that doesn't sound right to me. That just doesn't sound right to me. Okay, she's got photic sneeze reflex. Interesting. One variant for increased pain sensitivity. For EDAR, likely no shallow-shaped incisors and not East Asian in ancestry. Good for her. She's got this genotype which makes her less likely to gain weight of taking Zyprexa, which is good for her. For familial Mediterranean fever, no risk variants, so good for her. For the MTHFR panel, it looks like she's got a genotype that possibly impairs her folate metabolism. However, this is the main variation of MTHFR that matters the most, and she's got normal human genotype here. And she's got a genotype which predisposes her to average or slightly higher blood pressure. Alright. For leukemia, she's got lower risk of leukemia, but that's the only thing she was genotyped for. And you gotta have to look at all 5 together to get a good clue of what the risk is. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and look at her ethnic calculator. This is what she scores with Eurogenes K13. She's scoring 46% East Mediterranean, 30% Red Sea, a little bit of West Mediterranean, and a little bit of Northeast African. Alright, this looks a little bit less African than what's typical for Natufians. Natufians would score more African. But it's kind of similar to Natufians in terms of the result. It's kind of similar. She's closest to Yemenite Jews here, followed by that is Saudis, followed by that is Egyptians, followed by that is Bedouins and Palestinians and Samaritans. Basically, all Arab. Mainly, it is mainly Peninsular Arabs, but there is also Palestinians here, and there is also even Samaritans, which are just totally different from anything in the Arabian Peninsula. So I guess the closeness to Samaritans is due to the high West Med and East Med components, which are high in Samaritans. There's even Tunisians here. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's not as southern as you might think in terms of the ancestry. It's not exactly like Natufians. It's a little bit more northern shifted relative to Natufians. Well, that's pretty much all there is to it. You can download this file in 23andMe format. Thanks for watching until the end. You can leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Yeah. Goodbye.